So everything's cleaned. It's been soaked in the carb cleaner. And so this was the last basket of stuff. And it is all clean. We will run a piece of wire through all these holes and hit it with some carb cleaner, a compressed carb cleaner, and some piece of wire and some compressed air, and make sure all that's clean. The bent needle, dug around and pulled out my stash of quadrajets and found one of these. The end is different, but the needle itself, that part of it is the same. This has just got the Phillips or the flathead plus the hex part. This is good for, actually like these the best because I've got a carburetor adjustment tool and it's got a flexible shaft on it. It slips down over this and you can get in there and really adjust them without having to, get a screwdriver down in there. They work really well. So I actually prefer those anyway. So we can do away with this bent one instead of trying to fix that. Let's see if you can tell. Let's see how bent that is. So we'll do away with that bent one, and I'll just throw this other one. We'll throw that in my stash of quadrajet parts, but they are the same. Except for that spot out. Well, this has got a hex head on it too. But anyway, so that's what we're going to use, and we'll just use those springs that came with it. So I'll clean that up spray it with some carb cleaner, and we'll get this thing back together. But stuff did good. It looks really nice. Doesn't stink near as bad. so it is back together. Just wire tied, or put a piece of wire and tied these on there. I don't know which kind of gasket he needs. I don't know what his intake manifold looks like. So these two both fit it depending on what intake manifold. So I just put those on there, send that back with the carburetor. I looked for a piece of vacuum light. It fits decent. It's fits a little loose on here. This is the piece that was on it, and I didn't have a piece this size, and so we'll just have to let that be, or he can replace it if he wants to. Took this back off because I found a different gasket for the fuel filter. There was not one in here, I don't think, when I took it apart. So I found one. It took that big washer looking thing. That's what it looks like. Probably went in there, and so that's what I put in there instead of just a little paper washer. The accelerator pump diaphragm, the instructions, I looked at the instructions to see which way it faces. If you look, they've got it facing out towards the outside of the carburetor. And when I did it like that, it had the accelerator pump at an angle, and it would not, it did not work. And so now it is, I took it back apart, flipped it around the other way, and it is working like it should now. So they had that backwards on their instructions, or on their diagram. Could be different models of carburetors went different ways, but this one definitely went the other way. And so it is working well now. A piece of wire stuck it. And the choke is working like it should. Well, the accelerators. Back off the accelerator. Choke's working like it should. Back off the accelerator. I got the accelerator put in a bind. Come on. It's sitting on the accelerator linkage. There we go. What it has is notches that are for high idle, and it was hung up on one of those notches, but that's what it should do. When it pulls it up like that, it pulls it up on high idle, and then once it releases, once your choke releases and you go full throttle, now I got all this stuff in a bind with these gaskets, it pushes that linkage up to where now it's on normal idle. That's how that should work. To me though, it almost like it should have a spring or something on there, but it didn't have one on it, so I guess that's how it's supposed to be. To me, this should have a little spring on it, but it didn't have one on it. Maybe that. I wonder if that is. No. It didn't have one on it, so we're leaving it just like it was. I would have thought this would have had like a little coil spring right here that pulled this back or something, but it doesn't, so I guess that's just how it is. And that's where the choke linkage goes. It may have a heat riser with the linkage that goes there. I don't know. So I kind of would have thought there would have been a spring somewhere. But like I said, there's not, so that's what we're going with. Nothing left on our table. We put our extra little parts in there. Bent. One of those is bent. Got springs for that in here somewhere. Old needle and seat. Old accelerator pump. And this kit will go back on my shelf. Not back on my shelf, it will go on my shelf. That gasket I pretty much saved. I could reuse that on a carburetor. It did not rip, so that's good. The base gasket did, so we replaced it, and we have no parts left over. Always do check that. And so it is ready to go back. So I'm gonna call him and he can come pick it up. not too difficult. Do that just like that. So there's a 2-jet. Thanks for watching. Leave a comment down below, hit the like button, and subscribe for more.